Welcome to AI World TV, your go-to destination for everything artificial intelligence. Discover the captivating landscape of AI, where advanced technology finds real-life application. Subscribe to AI World TV for webzine articles, reports, podcasts, videos, live events, and latest trends. Hear from top industry leaders and discover how AI is transforming industries and our daily lives.
Imagine waking up tomorrow and the software you use to organize your life has just quietly taught itself how to negotiate a better rate on your car insurance overnight.
Right, which sounds like science fiction.
Exactly. But not because a developer pushed some big software update, but simply because it, watched you struggle with the bill yesterday, learned from the context, and just adapted on its own.
Completely autonomously.
Yeah. And that is the wild, literally multi-billion-dollar promise of what tech insiders are now calling the superlearner. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are super thrilled you're joining us.
A really exciting one today.
It really is. Today's source material is this absolute bombshell of an article from the AI World Journal. It was published on June 3, 2026, and it profiles a London-based startup named Ineffable Intelligence.
A fascinating company.
Yeah, and the mission for our deep dive today is to explore how this single company just secured a jaw-dropping $1.1 billion seed round. We're going to get into the actual mechanics behind their continuous learning technology and why it's poised to fundamentally alter how you interact with machines. So, okay, let's unpack this, because $1 billion for a seed round pretty much defies all traditional venture capital logic.
Yeah, I mean, the scale of that number, it really cannot be overstated. A seed round is historically the proof of concept phase, right? You're just testing the waters.
Right.
But what we are witnessing with Ineffable Intelligence is, well, it's a financial earthquake. It signals a hard pivot in the tech industry. Investors aren't looking at a prototype here. They're basically attempting to buy the ground floor of an entirely new computing paradigm.
Because usually a seed round is exactly that.
Right.
Planting a tiny acorn to see if it grows. You give a lean team a couple of $1 million to build out a minimum viable product.
Exactly, just to see if the idea has legs.
Yeah, but dropping a $1.1 billion seed round, that's like airdropping a fully grown, genetically modified redwood directly into the soil and expecting it to, dominate the entire forest by tomorrow.
That's a great way to put it.
I mean, who is making a bet that massive before the product is even fully commercialized?
Well, the list of backers is essentially a who's who of global tech infrastructure. Sequoia Capital and Lightspeed Venture Partners, they co-led the round.
Okay.
But the cap table also includes NVIDIA, Google, DST Global, and Index Ventures.
Wow. Literally the Mount Rushmore of tech and finance.
Very much.
They clearly believe Ineffable's underlying architecture is an existential threat if they don't own a piece of it, right?
Oh, absolutely. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the most significant investor on that list isn't actually a Silicon Valley titan.
Wait, really? Who is it?
It's the UK Sovereign AI Fund.
Huh.
Yeah, the British government has essentially stepped in as a venture capitalist.
Okay, that completely turns this from a standard Silicon Valley funding story into, well, a geopolitical maneuver. I mean, why is a national government taking a seed stage equity stake in a local AI startup?
It's because governments have finally realized that foundational AI architecture is no longer just consumer software. It is critical national infrastructure.
Right, like roads or bridges.
Exactly. I mean, you wouldn't outsource your country's entire power grid or telecommunications network to a foreign corporation across the ocean, right?
No, of course not.
So the UK Sovereign AI Fund's participation is a highly strategic play. They want to ensure that the next generation of computing, the algorithms that will drive future economic growth and scientific discovery, are basically anchored and governed right there in London.
Wow. So they are treating compute power and algorithmic architecture the same way they treat domestic energy production.
Exactly. It's a matter of national security at this point.
But to justify a geopolitical play of that magnitude, the underlying technology has to solve a massive problem. And the article anchors this all on that term, superlearners.
Right, the superlearners.
Now, anyone who uses AI today knows the frustration of the knowledge cutoff date, right?
Yeah.
We know that current large language models are sort of frozen in time after their initial training run.
Yeah, they don't know anything past that date.
Right. So, wait, just to clarify for the listener, so my current AI chatbot is basically stuck in time. Once it's trained, is it essentially like someone who graduated high school and then just completely refused to ever read a book again?
That is actually a surprisingly accurate analogy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The technical hurdle they are hitting is a phenomenon called catastrophic forgetting.
Catastrophic forgetting. That sounds dramatic.
It is, computationally speaking. In a traditional neural network, the system's knowledge is encoded in billions of mathematical weights. If you try to teach that static model something completely new on the fly, it adjusts those weights to accommodate the new information.
Okay.
The problem is, by shifting those weights, it inadvertently overwrites its existing knowledge.
Oh, I see. So it's the equivalent of trying to learn how to speak French, but the only way your brain can store the new vocabulary is by slowly forgetting how to speak English.
Yes, that is a highly accurate way to visualize it. And to prevent that, developers currently have to gather massive new data sets and run an entirely new, incredibly expensive training cycle completely from scratch.
Which takes months and millions of dollars.
Exactly. The system cannot learn from its daily interactions with you. It just resets.
So how does Ineffable Intelligence bypass catastrophic forgetting? How does a superlearner actually function without destroying its own foundation every time it learns a new fact?
Well, what's fascinating here is they have fundamentally redesigned the neural architecture to mimic human neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
Yeah. So instead of a rigid, dense matrix where every new input scrambles the whole system, superlearners utilize dynamic weight allocation.
Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
Basically, when they encounter novel information, they preserve the core mathematical pathways that hold their foundational knowledge, and they just spin up new modular pathways to process the new experience.
Oh, wow. So they compartmentalize the new learning.
Precisely. They add to their knowledge without touching the base structure.
That's incredible. So they're building an AI that essentially lives in the present tense. They can have a conversation, make an error, recognize the error, and then permanently adjust its internal logic for the very next interaction.
Yep.
And it does all that without needing a developer to hit a giant reset button in some server farm.
That's exactly it. In fact, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang is quoted in the article specifically addressing this capability. He called this lifelong learning approach the next frontier of AI.
The next frontier.
Yeah, he says it moves us from static, encyclopedic models to dynamic experiential intelligence.
Experiential intelligence. I love that phrasing. And so what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you solve catastrophic forgetting in the digital space, the physical applications must be totally mind-bending.
Oh, they are.
Like, the article highlights robotics, which we all know has notoriously struggled with the actual chaos of the real world.
Right, because the real world isn't predictable.
Exactly. With current robots, it's like a toy car hitting a wall and just spinning its wheels forever. But a superlearner would hit the wall, realize it's an obstacle, and learn to steer left next time. Right.
Rob?
All without a programmer having to write a specific steer left code.
Exactly. A traditional factory robot is brilliant in a perfectly controlled, millimeter-precise environment. But if the lighting changes or, a box is dropped in its path, it fails completely.
Because it only knows what it was explicitly programmed to know.
Right, because the traditional robot only knows the explicit parameters of its training data. A superlearning system attacks the long tail of edge cases.
Give me an example of an edge case.
Okay, imagine an autonomous forklift in a messy warehouse. It encounters a spilled liquid that reflects light in a way it has literally never seen before.
Okay.
A static AI might freeze, or worse, it might drive right through it and cause an accident.
But a superlearner would recognize the anomaly. It would, carefully test its traction, register the slippage, and then immediately integrate that visual and physical data into its permanent understanding of the world.
Exactly. So the next time it sees a similar reflection, it just avoids it. And again, without a human engineer ever writing a single line of code about spilled liquids.
That is wild.
Furthermore, because these models can be networked, that single forklift's novel experience instantly updates the behavioral models of every other machine in the entire fleet. The collective adapts in real time.
Wow. So one forklift slips, and 1,000 other forklifts instantly learn not to step in that puddle.
Exactly.
That real-time global integration leads perfectly into the healthcare applications mentioned in the AI World Journal piece. And the article is careful to clarify that the goal isn't to replace doctors, but to act as a constantly evolving diagnostic partner.
Right, a partner.
We are talking about a system absorbing global medical telemetry simultaneously, right?
Yes. The healthcare implications rely heavily on that real-time adaptation because medical knowledge is expanding faster than any human practitioner could possibly track.
Oh, absolutely.
You are listening to the AI World Podcast, your trusted source for the latest innovations, insights, and trends in artificial intelligence, blockchain, fintech, and decentralized technologies. Each episode features expert interviews, engaging discussions, and in-depth analysis of how AI transforms industries worldwide. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest articles and exclusive reports from the AI World Journal, covering everything from emerging technologies to industry breakthroughs. For more news, global events, and access to AI World Society circle gatherings, visit us at aiworld.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed, stay connected, and be part of the AI revolution with AI World Lounge. Thank you for listening.
Nobody can read every medical journal.
Right. So imagine an AI system integrated into hospital networks globally. If a cluster of patients in Tokyo exhibit a novel reaction to a specific medication protocol on, say, a Tuesday morning,
The superlearner observes those outcomes.
exactly. It observes them, identifies the subtle statistical anomalies, and instantly updates its understanding of that drug's interaction profile.
So by Tuesday afternoon, when a physician in London is about to prescribe that exact same protocol to a patient with a similar genetic profile, the AI partner flags the risk.
Yes.
It isn't waiting for a medical journal to publish a peer-reviewed study 3 years from now. It is operating on live global clinical experience.
It accelerates the loop of scientific discovery profoundly. The article points out that researchers currently spend months or even years just conducting literature reviews.
Right.
But a superlearner natively holds all that published research. And because it actively learns and cross-references continuously, it can connect disparate disciplines.
Like finding a needle in a haystack of global data.
Yeah, like it might identify that a breakthrough in fluid dynamics published yesterday has an immediate, unseen application in cardiovascular disease treatment.
It's synthesizing the world's knowledge the very moment it's generated. Okay, but let me put on my skeptic's hat here and pivot to the finance sector, which the investors in this seed round obviously care deeply about.
Naturally.
The stock market is entirely driven by chaotic human behavior, geopolitical noise, and sudden anomalies. If you drop an AI that continuously updates its own logic into the global financial markets, doesn't it run the risk of learning the wrong lesson?
That's a huge risk. Yeah.
Like, couldn't mistake market noise for a genuine signal and start executing massive hallucinated trading strategies?
That is a highly sophisticated concern. And you're right. In a chaotic environment like finance, continuous learning is a double-edged sword. A static forecasting tool becomes obsolete the second an unexpected trade tariff is announced. A superlearner, on the other hand, adapts second by second.
Which gives it an edge.
Exactly. However, to your point, distinguishing between a structural market shift and a temporary algorithmic flash crash is the true test of the technology. The system has to possess a robust enough foundational architecture to actively question its own new data before acting on it.
Which brings us to the broader industry context the article provides. They categorize this as the dawn of the third wave of artificial intelligence. Let's make sure we clearly define these waves for the listener, because the progression is really crucial.
Absolutely. So the first wave was generation.
Right.
These were the early models that amazed us by generating plausible text, writing emails, or creating images based on static prompts. They were highly useful, but purely reactive.
You ask a question, it gives an answer.
Exactly. Then we moved to the second wave, which is where the industry is currently battling it out: agent-based systems.
And just to be clear, an agent isn't just a smart chatbot. It's an AI that can take a high-level goal like, say, research our top 3 competitors and schedule a briefing break that goal down into subtasks, use external tools like web browsers and calendars, and execute a multi-step plan autonomously.
Right. It's the closed loop of agency. It pursues a goal until it is completed, but the underlying logic of that agent remains static.
Okay, so then what's the third wave?
The third wave, which Ineffable Intelligence is pioneering, takes that autonomous agent and allows it to learn how to be a better agent through experience.
Wow.
It is the open loop of continuous adaptation.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. And honestly, a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
Because that leads directly to the trillion-dollar dilemma. If you have software that is constantly rewriting its own internal logic based on its environment, how do you QA test it?
You've hit the nail on the head.
I mean, traditional software development relies on post-training benchmarks.
Yeah.
Build an app, you test it in the sandbox, you make sure it doesn't crash or do anything harmful, and then you deploy it.
Right.
But if the software's fundamental nature is to change tomorrow, based on inputs it hasn't even seen yet.
Yeah.
You can't use a static benchmark. If a system's behavior tomorrow is different from its behavior today, how on earth do you test it?
Well, you really can't. Not in the traditional sense. This raises an important question that regulators are entirely unprepared for.
Why bet?
You cannot comprehensively test a superlearner before deployment because you cannot predict its future experiential trajectory. The traditional blueprint methodology of software engineering just completely collapses.
So how do you ensure transparency? Let's say a superlearner AI in a hospital recommends a really controversial surgical intervention, and the chief of medicine demands to know why. The AI's logic might be based on a micro-pattern it learned an hour ago from a different continent. Tracing that reasoning back becomes a forensic nightmare, doesn't it?
It does, and it exacerbates the alignment problem significantly.
Oh, so.
Well, the tech industry has already seen static AI models manipulated into generating harmful or biased outputs, right?
Right, the classic internet troll problem.
Exactly. Now, a superlearner is actively absorbing human interactions constantly. If it is exposed to toxic, manipulative, or logically flawed environments, it could organically adopt those traits.
Oh, man. So we need something vastly more sophisticated than just a simple content filter.
Much more.
We're talking about needing an algorithmic immune system, like a secondary layer of the AI that constantly monitors the newly formed neural pathways, evaluating whether this new learning violates the core safety constraints of the system.
That's a great analogy.
And if it detects a harmful behavioral shift, it has to isolate and attack that specific new logic without destroying the rest of the network.
An algorithmic immune system is a brilliant way to frame it, actually. You are no longer building a wall around the AI. You are engineering white blood cells to police its internal evolution.
It's just mind-blowing.
It is. And this is exactly why a sovereign government is pouring money in at the seed stage. They recognize that whoever builds the containment architecture, the immune system, will basically set the global regulatory standards for the third wave.
Right, they want to be the ones calling the shots.
Exactly. They want those protocols developed under their jurisdiction, not imported as an afterthought from somewhere else.
Man, the technological leap is staggering, but the guardrails required to keep it from derailing are equally monumental.
Absolutely.
Let's take a breath and just quickly recap the sheer density of what we've covered today.
Good idea.
We started with an anomaly. Ineffable Intelligence, a London startup, raising a $1.1 billion seed round backed by Silicon Valley titans and the UK sovereign AI fund. And this capital is fueling the transition from static artificial intelligence to the third wave of computing, superlearners.
Right.
By overcoming catastrophic forgetting, these systems mimic human neuroplasticity, basically learning continuously from their environment without needing to be retrained.
And we explored how this continuous adaptation solves the edge case failures in robotics, accelerates global medical diagnostics, and creates hyper-dynamic financial forecasting.
Right, but we also confronted the unprecedented safety dilemma. The impossibility of traditionally testing software that independently rewrites its own logic, which requires entirely new forms of real-time algorithmic alignment, like our immune system concept.
Exactly. It's a whole new world.
It really is a profound shift in our relationship with technology. But
Yeah.
before we sign off, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought experiment to mull over regarding this continuous learning architecture.
Oh, I love these.
We've established that a superlearner evolves based on the specific stimuli in its environment, right? So imagine taking two completely identical superlearner AI systems, fresh off the server, with the exact same foundational knowledge.
Okay, two identical twins.
Right. Now you deploy System A into the chaotic, high-stress environment of a New York City emergency room, and you deploy System B into the quiet, highly structured environment of a materials science laboratory in Zurich. If they learn continuously based purely on their localized daily interactions, could those two originally identical systems eventually develop entirely different problem-solving methods? I mean, would they, over time, develop distinct life experiences of their own?
That is fascinating. The implications of divergent experiential learning in machines challenge the very definition of software.
Right.
Because if their learning is truly experiential, their divergence isn't just possible, it is inevitable.
It fundamentally changes what it means to build a machine. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this breakdown of the third wave of AI equipped you with some powerful new insights. Keep questioning the algorithms around you and always stay curious.
The future of artificial intelligence is unfolding, and it's happening at AI World Week, the flagship global event for innovation, collaboration, and transformation. This flagship global AI event is designed to connect visionary leaders, trailblazing entrepreneurs, and influential thinkers to explore the endless possibilities of AI. Experience groundbreaking technology that redefines industries and inspires progress. Join thought-provoking discussions on ethical AI, digital equity, and the transformative role of technology in our world. Build meaningful connections that catalyze innovation and drive impact. AI World Week is powered by AI World Society, a global movement dedicated to advancing AI responsibly and ensuring it serves humanity. Together, we're shaping a smarter, more inclusive, and equitable future. Continue your journey beyond the event with the AI World Journal, offering expert insights, in-depth analysis, and the latest trends shaping the AI landscape. This is your opportunity to lead, to innovate, and to transform the world with AI. AI World Week. We invite you to join us and embrace the AI revolution.